Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, Paul, you did find me. I did notice you just mentioned us in a comment. I don't know what it is. But, hey, we're back. We took a week off.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mental health week, maybe? And a work thing. But
I feel like we took a week off for the very monster of the week we'll be dealing with this week.
Yeah.
I know. I definitely if we were to try to tackle this topic last week, it probably would just not have been a good episode.
Oh, wouldn't have been good. Good. So expect us to take another break next week to get over this week.
Yeah. It's a roller coaster. But people thought it'd get better after the elections. It's just still a roller coaster.
Tomorrow's Friday the 13th, so.
Yeah.
It is.
13th in 2020. What could go wrong? We're going to die. We're going to die.
I missed it. Darn it. I did not realize. See, that's how distracted I've been. I had meant to do another special GCU episode for this Friday the 13th, and I would have hit like the last 4 Friday the 13ths during the calendar. I guess I don't know when it would be during, what else it would be during. Because the last season, which was forever ago, of Grawlix Cinematic Universe, we did pretty much every Friday the 13th except for the remake. So I was like, there's one more Friday the 13th this year. Maybe I can fit in an episode for the remake, but that's not happening because I didn't realize it was tomorrow. Complete derailment. Yeah, right off the bat. So, hey, just because Halloween's over doesn't mean everything's not still a horror show. So guess what? Monster of the Week segment, we're going to keep it rolling. It turns out we liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when we pick difficult topics, we might like it a little less, but generally we like the premise. So we're going to keep doing it for a little while. Maybe we'll actually get back to movie monsters. But this week, we really needed some escape from the world with all the stuff happening, all the political and government stuff. So we decided this week's monster is the biggest, most frustrating monster of all. Government. So that's the monster of the week.
Yeah.
I mean,
the political machine.
If we haven't this, I would say the premise for Monster of the Week segments went off the rail when we did Nicolas Cage as the Monster of the Week for the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
But we'll pull it back eventually. We watched some movies that had some type of tie to government or political themes, but movies. Hunger Games would have been valid.
Yeah, but we didn't watch that.
We didn't watch that. So we'll discuss that, and then if we got time, I got a bunch of news, including, of course, everyone's favorite, Snyder Watch. I'm not even gonna. Yeah, there's Snyder Watch. In fact, if I have to, I'll skip all the other news and just do Snyder Watch.
I feel like we've done that at least once.
We have, yeah, because that's the most important segment.
Yeah. All this is just window dressing for the Snyder Watch at this
point. Someday in the far, far future, after it's Mad Max world, Grawlix will only exist as Snyder Watch. Snyder will be dead and gone. Snyder Watch will continue.
It's funny. We've got a post-apocalyptic promo bumper for this show, and eventually we'll even fall prey to.
Yep. All right, so I guess let's jump into this movie. I guess it's a movie segment. Who wants to go first? Oh, real quick, I'm forgetting our format that we've fallen into. Anybody watch anything interesting other than what we're about to talk about?
Mandalorian.
Ooh,
episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah, same here. Melanie and I as well. Snyder Nights, Paul says. Yeah, Mandalorian. Loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just good.
It is just good. we're only 2 episodes in, and the first season had a lot of great episodes. I'd say there were only a couple 1 or 2 episodes that were like a little kind of lackluster. I think I'm enjoying this season more already. I was a little worried. I was like, are they going to start getting bogged down in like, because I was like, is the first season like set up the characters and stuff, and then now we're going to get bogged down into some Star Wars plot, which I realize is not necessarily a bad thing for a lot of people, but that's not really where it's gone. So I'm glad that it's continued the very tropey, classic Western samurai style stories that the first season did.
And yet where it has gotten Star Warsy, it like still expands it, like in the first episode, we get more of the Tusken Raiders than we probably have ever gotten.
My nephew, who says he is not a Star Wars nerd, yet continues to tell me about the Star Wars timeline repeatedly, and that's a proto lightsaber, not a real lightsaber, and stuff like that,
Right.
Oh, he's not a Star Wars nerd though, right?
I was like, you should watch The Mandalorian. And he's like, no. And then I was like, okay, here, come look at this. I'm like, is that Boba Fett? Is that his outfit? And he's like, we have to watch Mandalorian. So I watched all of The Mandalorian with my nephew, up to episode 2 of the second season.
Savannah says she's been watching, I'm assuming this is a show, Truth Seekers, The Queen's Gambit.
Heard a lot about that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything, but
I don't know what it is, but Netflix keeps popping it up at me.
I haven't watched it, but I did research it some, and it's about an orphan, a girl that gets taught chess by like the security guard at the orphanage, and then she has some addiction issues and whatever, but she becomes a chess prodigy, and this is during like it's like starts in the 50s or something, so it has a lot to do with how women are treated in certain industries and the things that we have to overcome and stuff like that, Okay. And it's mostly about chess.
Hey Turner, what's going on? Savannah also says she's been watching Altered Carbon. I watched 1 episode of that once. It's a very sci-fi-ish. I mean, it's definitely a sci-fi show. I didn't dislike it. I just never came back. Maybe I will someday.
I've watched some of that before.
Paul says Mandalorian makes me want frog lady eggs.
No, I was so mad. I'm like, you can't just let him eat her babies. That's so wrong.
We were fine with him eating whole frogs in the first season, but
Baby Yoda is a big problem in that episode. He is horrible. He's the villain of that episode.
He's kind of a monster.
Or she. Did it ever establish? Do Yodas have sex? Like a male female thing?
They haven't established if it's a boy or a girl yet. No.
That episode did do the cute, like they have, and I know there's some people out there that still get upset when you refer to it as Baby Yoda, but it's Baby Yoda. Runs to the Mandalorian towards the beginning. It's the cutest thing. Just oh god.
But they gave him baby noises too, which was weird to me.
Like human baby noises rather than it's just normal, like kind of weirdish alien noises. Yeah, that is weird. Paul has been watching America's Hidden Secrets on Hulu. Well, they're not so secret now, are they?
Right. Or hidden, really, if they can do a whole series on them.
Oh, I know what Truth Seekers is, and I did not realize that without. I want to watch that. Savannah says Truth Seekers is an Amazon show with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. It's great, and everyone should watch it. That's where they're like a ghost hunters type team, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, God,
Ghost Facers. That's gonna really make a few people mad because they hate the supernatural ghost facers. Trolling you.
Truth Seekers. I'm gonna remember that. I do want to watch that quite a bit.
Yeah, and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, everyone just need to watch it. Yeah,
those guys are great. It's been too long since they've done anything together. Okay, there's been other stuff. What have we been watching? I can't remember. I feel like maybe we talked about it last episode, but I know Melanie had watched it before, but I finished Daybreak. on Netflix.
Mhm.
Season 1, sadly, the only season because it did not get renewed. That show is amazing. I love it. It's so good. I'm so glad Melanie made me watch it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It is disappointing that it's not coming back for another season. Also, we're extremely behind because that show's from like apparently 2017 or 18. So like it was canceled a couple of years ago.
Oh,
But we just discussed it seems like Netflix just like randomly like, hey, we're gonna start pushing this. Because the date said 2017, 2018, and I don't remember seeing it at all till somewhat recently.
Yeah. Savannah made me watch it.
Okay.
But actually, I when I was researching the Queen's Gambit a little bit, because you know what? Honestly, I'll be honest. I researched that because I thought it might have been government related. But
right.
It's not.
Well,
but,
that's fair.
But
wait, I could have got away with watching the episodes of The Crown for this, couldn't I?
Could have. Yeah, could have.
They're monsters.
What? Yeah. But that show is only popular because people made it popular. I guess it came out and Netflix barely what do you call it?
Promoted it?
Yeah, promoted it. And then people started watching it and talking about it. And then it kind of blew up. And then Netflix was like, oh, we better feature this then, I guess. You know?
Maybe.
Weird, huh?
It's time. Change.org. Let's go. Petition. Bring it back. Bring it back.
It really works. They listen.
Right. That always works.
Well, you know, like now that I got the old brain things firing, clearly, because I know what the brain things are called now. V for Vendetta would have been a good one. They created a monster politically.
Right.
I thought Watchmen probably kind of political.
Oh,
yeah. Reference the fourth term of Nixon or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get this comment. So okay. What else have we been watching? We finished Bly Manor, but I think we already mentioned that.
Yeah. Oh, we watched 2 episodes of what is that sci-fi show?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Raised by Wolves on
Yeah.
HBO or HBO Max. I think it's an HBO Max like original, and it's a sci-fi movie, partially created by what's his name, the alien guy, Alien, Prometheus, Ridley Scott.
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay.
And you can kind of tell it's got a little bit of a Prometheus feel in like the alien world that they're on and stuff. Super interesting, really weird. Like it's I like it, but it's also unpleasant.
Yeah, it is.
You know
like
what I mean?
Prometheus.
Right. So the premise is like, and it's a little ham-fisted in the way it treats this in dialogue anyway, is apparently there at some point there was a war between the atheists and the believers. And apparently
at one point.
Yeah. Well, it was a big war.
I mean, other planets got figured out if they can do it in one.
And apparently the believers put a bunch of people, like the earth was going to be destroyed or something, or was dying. So the believers put people on an ark that they called heaven and sent them off into space. But the atheists apparently were running behind or something. Their apocalypse alarm clock didn't go off or something. And they were only able to like basically put some androids on a spaceship with some human fetuses and send them off ahead to hopefully have them raise these children and repopulate wherever they end up. And that's the premise. And so most of the 2 episodes that we've watched are these 2, like our main characters are kind of these 2 androids and not so successfully raising children on this alien planet. That kind of makes it sound like a sitcom. It's not. It's really weird. The androids are very strange. They're kind of the most fascinating part because of how they act, because they're android, but also like there's kind of some weird emotions they seem to be displaying. I don't know.
Honestly, it seems completely opposite and backwards to me, because I mean, there's just a little. It's not exactly spoilers, but these androids land on this planet with nothing, and they're like, you just have to believe in science and have faith in technology. Sorry. Meanwhile, there is none of that around. And then the believers are on spaceships with, like hibernation and, like, let's all pray. It's so weird, an opposite world of how it should be.
It kind of is. Yeah, it's really strange. It kind of feels like it's almost like hard sci-fi, but not. It's like hard sci-fi in tone to where it's a little off-putting and odd. But it's not that super intelligent about, because when I say hard sci-fi, I think of like, I don't know, very brainy sci-fi. And it's not really that, but it's got that. I can't imagine this is super popular with general audiences. I don't think this is, if they were hoping this was their next like Westworld or Game of Thrones, I don't think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. I'm enjoying it. It's just,
well, we don't know. Maybe people are into weird religious robots or something, or I don't know. That does remind me of not a big stupid. It's a stupid little thing, and it's probably old, really. But I saw a thing where a Tesla self-driving car hit a robot, and I thought that was hilarious. Killed it. Killed a robot.
Right. No, you probably sent it to me. I seen a meme where
it wasn't me.
That's where the future war or the war of the machines started. Was it wasn't humans versus machines, it was machines versus machines. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we should probably move on, I guess, unless we have anything else.
No.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Melanie, I kind of want to save yours for last, just because I think yours would potentially get into more conversation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. And I'm going to be a jerk and jump in first because I don't really have a whole lot to say. So my government monster of the week pick was, I deviated. It's not horror. But we haven't always been doing horror movies on these.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, Melanie actually recommended it. It's something I'd seen, but I was like having a hard time figuring out what to watch. So I was like, all right, yes, we'll do that. Because she mentioned In the Loop, and that's what I watched. And if you don't know In the Loop, no, let me take that back. If you don't know Malcolm Tucker, you're missing out. Maddie D, hey Matt, yeah, you guys are back. We missed you last week. Yeah, thank you. It's good to be back. I know it's only been a week.
It feels like several weeks.
Yeah,
because of the week it was.
That reminds me, I was watching something, a video on YouTube, and one of the people in there was like, you guys remember when Parasite won the Oscar? That was February of this year. How long does it feel like that was? Remember, we talked about it on the show. How long ago does that feel?
God.
It's been less than a year.
Pandemic is never going to end. Is it?
And they, that was their point. They're like, it feels like it's been so long. And I was like, it does.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's been a long year, but also it's been quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're in November now. That's weird.
Right.
Whole months feel inconsequential now, like everything feels longer, but like also there's giant gaps of time that just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like October, it went way too quick.
Yeah.
But now I don't have to shave my legs, so.
Maddie D says, what? That feels like last decade. No, I know.
I still haven't seen it.
It's been 5 long years.
It should be in the dollar bin by now, right?
Parasite? It's on Hulu because I remember doing a story that people were upset that it wasn't overdubbed on Hulu.
Oh, gotcha.
I actually retain a bunch of the stories we cover. That's weird. I'm filling my brain with uselessness. So,
are you saying we're uselessness?
One of the stuff we're talking about is we're great. In the Loop from 2009 is it's basically what's the name of the show? I can't believe it. Thick of It. It's basically a movie version of Thick of It, which is a BBC political comedy starring the best doctor. Hot take?
Shots fired.
No, one of my favorite doctors, Peter Capaldi.
He's a treasure.
Peter Capaldi is amazing. And I'm pretty sure I like his doctor more because when I heard he was going to be the doctor before, when he was announced, I was like, who is this guy? What's this thick of it? And I discovered Malcolm Tucker. It's amazing. He's amazing in this. So yeah, anyway, thick of it. It's very kind of a dry British comedy about politics. Tales from the Loop is a decent show. I don't know that. But In the Loop is essentially a movie version of that. There were a few seasons of thick of it, and then I think the last season was a Netflix deal. In the Loop is interesting because whereas thick of it focuses primarily on, almost exclusively on like British politics, which is interesting as an American viewer because I don't know anything about other countries because I'm an American. Right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting kind of.
There are other countries. Come on.
Other countries. They have their own systems.
Work. Whatever.
Social issues.
Right.
Maddie D says best cursing by Peter Capaldi in that show. It's amazing. Malcolm Tucker is written so amazingly and acted so amazingly.
I've watched that clip of him trying to explain Star Wars without knowing a dang thing about it so many times, and I love it. I love it every time.
The problem with Malcolm Tucker is all of his best lines, none of it I can say on Grawlix.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So anyway, the movie, the plot is basically about, and actually the overview, like watching the movie, the plot feels more vague than this, but the overview, according to the moviedb.org, says the U.S. president and the U.K. prime minister are planning on launching a war in the Middle East, but behind the scenes, government officials and advisors are either promoting the war or are trying to prevent it. Okay. I mean, you get the behind the scenes stuff, but I didn't know, like, the weird thing, and maybe I missed something on this rewatch, and it'd been a few years since I'd watched it previously. This war they keep talking seems so vague. It almost seems like the war, like it's purely invented by these people behind the scenes, and it has no basis in reality. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna go to war, and it's like, why? And that's kind of a plot point. It's like, well, they don't have any evidence, but that's irrelevant. That's almost like it's not even, it's like that's one of the last minute things. It's just like evidence
seems a little too relevant right about now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're gonna keep it rolling. They're gonna start throwing out like this thing is a thing that's happening, or it's true or it's false. And the evidence, we'll worry about that later.
But I didn't really watch that show ever, but I enjoyed the perspective because really most government, like the real things that happen, like the bills that get made, and I think most of that is just staffers. I don't really think. I mean, some of them do a good job and they know what they're talking about, and they do. Some people turn in paperwork. I mean, not paperwork, turn in bills that still has like the stamp of the corporation that handed it to them. You know what I mean? So that's really good, and I think it's a good representation of how governments really work.
Yeah, no, this movie highlights that because when I was watching it, I was like, I'm not going to know what to say tonight. Like, there's not really much plot to walk through because it really is. And I'm glad you said that, Melanie, because that kind of helped concrete it. It really is just like, here's some people that want to go to war for whatever reason, because they will benefit from it somehow, maybe. Here's people who were like, that's probably not a good idea. And then it's all their underlings. The whole movie is just people scuttling back and forth. And like, somebody leaked this to the press. Somebody didn't leak this. And it's just kind of like nothing really happens other than people just like, it's back and forth. There's meetings. It's like a whole bunch of struggle and action that seems so useless. And then somehow at the end, it kind of comes together in this like, all right, well, here's this evidence. Most of it's falsified. And we're going to leak this information out here. You just lost your job, even though we've been building up to have you resign the half of the movie. And then talk you out of resigning just so that literally 2 minutes later, I can get you fired because of something totally inconsequential that has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's kind of chaos. It's like an interesting controlled chaos where it seems like most of the irritation they go through is completely unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
That's the job.
Sounds like government to me.
And what made the show such a good show? And it's so interesting because like it ends up like the big things intertwine with the little things, where going to war, obviously being a big thing, somehow like gets tied into this little side plot about this dude who's mad because the government won't fix this wall that's part, just this like wall to his mom's backyard that's, adjoining some government building or something. Mm-hmm. And how that ends up tying into it later. But the reason why I say it was a good show. This movie In the Loop was very entertaining. It's good is because the characters are interesting. And if you are familiar with Veep, if you're an American and you've watched Veep, with what's her name, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, was on.
It's HBO, isn't it?
HBO or Showtime? Yeah, HBO, I think. This movie was directed by the creator of that show. That show is basically an American thick of it. Like it doesn't have the same characters, but it is pretty much like the same kind of show, just in America. Also interesting is that there's a lot of characters in this that are carryover characters from the show, but not like, this is not like I said it's movie version of the show, and it is thick of it, but it's not. Malcolm Tucker is Malcolm Tucker, but like most of the other characters aren't in there. There are characters from the show or actors from the show. They might even be playing the same characters, but like they don't know it. Like none of the stuff that happened in the show seems to really be established in the movie. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. The continuity is a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Listen, Peter Capaldi, foul mouth. It's the 13th Doctor. Just the most foul-mouthed, quick-witted, but nasty person, and he's so entertaining to watch. It's so good. Let me hop over here. It's got somebody I think Melanie doesn't like because she was also in Veep. This chick is basically the same character she plays in Veep.
That's My Girl.
Oh, yes, for My Girl.
Yeah.
Do you think she ever got over Macaulay Culkin? Macaulay Culkin? Well, don't worry. He's on YouTube. He's doing cameos on YouTube forever, so you can go find him over there. Like this guy was in the Thick of It show, but they don't know each other in this movie, but they should if it was a continuation of the show.
Yeah.
Fact check. 12th Doctor. Which Doctor did I say? Did I say 13? I meant 12. Wait. Yeah. Oh, and it's got James Gandolfini, and he's really good in it. He's
generally really good. I mean, like
he's a generally really good.
Oh man,
he plays a general.
I'm not trying.
And everybody's so foul mouthed. Everybody's so foul mouthed in here. That's the whole thing. It's one of those shows where it's all in the writing. The writing it's all in the writing and the acting. The writing is so good, and it's well acted to where if you just write out like what happens, it sounds so mundane and boring. But the characters are so interesting to watch. Oh, another good example is very early on in the movie, Capaldi has a line where, as typically happens in the show and in politics, the politic guy, the British political guy that they work for, makes a gaffe on TV, and Capaldi's on the phone yelling at some reporter or something, and he said he didn't say that. You may have heard him say that, but he didn't say that. That's a fact. And I was like, this used to be comedy. This used to be satire. Yeah. Now that's just
the last 4 years.
Yeah. He used to be satire.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about it.
Okay.
In the loop. Pretty good. Pretty good. Maddie, do you like the generality?
It's because it was gold. It's golden.
All right.
It's not gold.
Jesse, what did you watch?
I watched, and I teed it up last week without even knowing about it. I watched The Dead Zone, written by Stephen King. I originally read the book, and then I was like, oh, there's a movie, and it's starring Christopher Walken. That sounds like the perfect thing. Full stop. Spoilers, it is. Perfect. Yeah, because he's like I should get into more the nuts and bolts before I just dive in. Came out in 1983, so this would have been hot off the heels of The Shining, and you can definitely tell, even though it's not Kubrick or anything like that, like it's directed by David Cronenberg, but he's definitely aping a lot of like Kubrickisms, a lot of exterior shots of like different buildings, even how they like set up the initial font and the music that plays at the very beginning of the movie. It feels very much like they're trying to piggyback some of the success that they maybe had with The Shining. Yeah, it has a very similar vibe to it without being The Shining, obviously. And so the basic premise of this, and the reason that I picked it as a political one, is what happens is we see, what's his name? Is it Danny? No, it's Johnny. There is a Danny in this, though, and I was like, oh that's got to be a nod, too. And with Stephen King, it's always a nod, so probably is. So Johnny, he's like a high school literature teacher or whatever. And he's like, it literally starts with him reading The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, which is awesome. So you get some fun Christopher Walken-isms. He's like, I want you guys to read Sleepy Hollow. You're going to like it. It's about a teacher who gets chased by a headless demon. And that's how he starts his weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And then he gets on, and then he like goes on a date with his girlfriend, who's also a teacher, and they're on like a roller coaster. And it's super fun because it was like this just cements my theory that Nicolas Cage is slowly turning into Christopher Walken, because on the roller coaster, while they're on the roller coaster, like he gets hit, like you get the first sense that something strange is about to happen to him, because he gets hit with like this wave of something while he's on the roller coaster, and he just does the very Christopher Walken thing where he just like, he's fine, he's enjoying everything, and then all of a sudden, dead eyes look off into space, just like, and then just woof, does it again. Just
yeah,
all the energy just drains from his face, and he gets that spooky Christopher Walken, 1,000-mile stare or whatever. And and so I mentioned that because I was just like, man, this is where Nicolas Cage is headed. He's already doing this a little bit. So yeah. Anyways, you just get a very brief setup of this kind of love, this romance that they have, this budding young love type of thing, and then he drops her off at the end of the night because he's not feeling good after he has that like dead eye thing where he gets hit with the dead zone wave or whatever you want to call it, and he drops her off. They cementing their love or whatever with I'm gonna marry you someday, and I'm just crazy about you, Johnny. And then he's like, well, I gotta go home though because I felt sick, so I'm going home. It's raining now. What's the worst that could happen? It's like it's Friday the 13th in the year 2020. So he gets in his VW bug and he's going to drive home in the rain, and he gets into a car accident, and that car accident goes poorly. He winds up in a medically induced coma, or he's in a coma of some sort, and then just cut to the facility, and we find out that he's been in this coma for 5 years, and he wakes up, and then when he wakes up, he has this ability to see into the dead zone, which when he makes contact with another person, like physical contact, like he touches them, he gets a vibe, and he gets like visions of something involving it's always involving death. So like the very first one was he grabs the nurse's hand, and he sees the nurse's daughter, like surrounded in fire, like surrounded in flames, and he's just like, there's fire everywhere. He's just super intense Christopher Walken about it. He's like, it's not too late, go get out of here, like, go get her. And then he's like talking to her through the flames and whatnot. I don't even know if it works that way, but it's Christopher Walken.
Really?
Like, you tell him to stop it, he's like, I don't know, he's like talking to this little girl that's surrounded by flames, but it's like a premonition. So the nurse is able to save her daughter before the fire, like the little girl's gonna be fine. But it becomes this whole thing. Like he uses his powers just a few more times, but he gets popular for it, and he does this whole press conference thing. And then like one of the things, this is where it starts to get political, like right off the bat, is he's like, prove it. Who's going to win in this senatorial race or whatever? Is this going to be this guy or this guy? Is Stinson going to unseat so-and-so? And that's just like a seed of things to come. And where it gets into the politics of it is that eventually Christopher Walken's character comes in contact with this Stinson. I believe it's Stinson, but it's played by Martin Sheen, who also played pretty incredible president in the hit series The West Wing. So anyways, this character goes on to become presidential candidate, and he's like out and about and shakes hands with Christopher Walken's character, so he gets a bead on him and what he's going to be up to. And if he becomes president, he will essentially get us into a nuclear war, and he'll push the button. So we're looking at, the end of all pretty much mutually assured destruction kind of thing. And so that's where the plot takes a turn, where like throughout the book, Johnny's kind of like solving little things or trying to help in little ways. But at a certain point, he comes in contact with this political candidate. And then it's like, oh, now I have to do, this is a big thing.
The stakes have been raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where does this come into our monster of the week? Well, I mean, we, in our country, at least, we give the president the nuclear codes. That's right. Our president has had the nuclear codes for the last 4 years. I know you forgot about that because you have to sleep at night, but he's got them. He's got them.
But I mean, if you put yours and Rainey's together, does he really have them? I mean, I'm sure.
No, in that case, Jared Kushner or somebody does. One of the people scurrying exactly under the carpets like a frickin' cockroach.
Eric's got him, and he's lost them already.
No,
he lost them. Someone else has got them. Melania's like, what are these? Forget Christmas.
Is he the one that was he the one that was complaining about Instagram's algorithm?
Probably.
Whoever, one of his sons is going to lose his stuff because the Instagram algorithm screwed him over, and he's going to be like, where's the button? I'm going to hit the button.
Which one? Control, Alt, or Delete? Push them all together, Eric, and let's see what that does.
In the Dead Zone, because I read the book, and I watched the movie, and I watched a little bit of the TV show. Mostly just because I was like, it's the nerd from all the 80s shows, except he's not. Now he's like buffer. So that was weird. But wasn't there some weird thing like maybe it happened during the accident where he kept seeing like stripes or he kept seeing something repeatedly and he didn't know what it was, but it like in the end it ended up pertaining to that character, or am I imagining that?
I think so. It's been a long time since I read the book, like pre-college, like high school, probably. So I don't know. I do remember the book being obviously much more robust and a lot of fun. I have only seen a smidge of the show. I really should go back and like watch the rest of the show because I remember it being pretty well done, and I like the premise. I like the idea.
I remember that focusing heavily though on his relationship with the other teacher lady or whatever.
Right. The show did, or
yeah, the show did.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Dead Zone. Honestly, now that I think about it, I'm not sure that because I know the movie. I know I've seen bits and pieces of the movie a ton. I'm not sure that I've ever, at least that I can recall, watched it from beginning to end. But maybe it's just because it was on a lot. This always seemed like kind of a horror classic. Like it seemed like it was regarded as a horror classic. I did not realize Cronenberg directed it. That's amazing.
I didn't until I fired it up. I was like, oh, huh.
I know there's like very little body horror in it.
Right.
Maybe that's it. Maybe this was kind of like his David Lynch's Dune or whatever, like his big, like his more commercial movie.
Like, no, look, I can do something like Kubrick.
Right.
Man, I can't believe they had Lynch do Dune. Lynch is such a dreamer. You can't do that to Dune. Dune is already perfection.
Right. We never discussed the new Dune trailer, but that's okay. We don't need to.
Yeah, we don't need to.
This, for whatever reason, though, it always makes me because I was a early '90s kid or whatever. It makes me think there's an SNL skit, and I'm pretty sure I don't remember if it was Christopher Walken, but then again, they had him on all the time.
Oh yeah.
Or if it was like Rob Schneider or somebody playing Christopher Walken, but they used to do a Dead Zone skit, which, realizing now that this came out in 1983. They were reaching back, man. In the 90s, they were doing Dead Zone skits. Anyway, but it was always like he'd touch somebody and it would do the thing and the dramatic look and and it would always just be some like mundane thing. Oh, you're gonna go here and then this is gonna happen and you're gonna get a paper cut or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And it would just like become so frequent that everybody just be like, so anyway.
Right.
That's, for whatever reason, that's what Dead Zone makes me think of.
Well, that's fun.
90s SNL, which if you're around our age, is the best SNL. If you're not, it's the worst like every other year.
It's really good until you start seeing what some of them did in their movie careers, and then you realize, oh, they peaked at SNL.
Including the most famous of them, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Mike Myers did okay for himself.
But okay. Yeah. He was kind of an exception out of that class of SNL people, just because he managed to actually make big comedy movies that were not based on SNL skits, even though they could be, like Austin Powers. Austin Powers was huge. They made three movies out of those, and they were all huge. And that wasn't an SNL skit, but it kind of seemed like it could have been.
Well, my favorite Mike Myers movie is So I Married an Axe Murderer, and that wasn't an SNL skit either.
No, it wasn't. Right.
But he does beat poetry, and it's awesome.
Didn't he have like, no, he had, that reminds me of a weird character he would do on SNL, where he was like in the like tight black turtleneck type shirt.
Oh, Vita.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the same.
I tell you,
now is the part of Sprockets where we dance.
I think. Okay, Matt. Okay, Matt says, "Yep, Eddie Murphy peaked at SNL. Shame he didn't make anything big out in the movie world." Eddie Murphy was before our time when it comes to SNL.
Yeah, I thought we were specifically talking about like our 90s era or whatever. Because everybody from the beginning of SNL, if they weren't already kind of famous before, got really famous.
The 70s into the early 70s into the 80s crew, they all went off to have pretty almost all went off to have pretty big careers.
Yeah. But
I feel like 90s and on is when it starts to get rocky for some of them.
Like John Lovitz is a treasure, but he didn't really have a big John Lovitz movie.
Yeah,
he's just John Lovitz.
It's just John Lovitz. Yeah.
Somebody needs to write a biography for him and title it.
Yeah.
It can all be fake. I don't care.
I'm always happy to see him in something, like he'll make a cameo back on SNL and it'll be like, oh my God, it's John Lovitz. And I'll be super excited to see him. But then it's like, what else has he done? I don't know.
So the Dead Zone. See, this is what happens. I mentioned an SNL skit. We derail completely. I'm gonna have to give this one a watch.
It's fun. It was fun to come back to. It's just, again, it's almost like that Nicolas Cage type of thing where you're just like, you're kind of waiting to just watch him be Christopher Walken.
Have either of you guys ever seen? We're gonna have to do Aliens or something soon, like Aliens as the theme, because there's a Christopher Walken movie about
Communion
about alien abduction. I remember it being legitimately creepy, but it's been so long since I watched it, and I've since read stuff online about people saying it's the like wackiest Christopher Walken performance, which I don't remember. I want to revisit it.
Is that?
It's a classic. I love it. I mean, that's probably what hooked me as far as Christopher Walken's concerned. As I saw that, I've never been able to forget it.
Something weird happens in an attic, right? Okay.
Maybe it's been
a
so
lot.
long.
A lot of weird happens in that.
Okay.
I remember dancing or something.
Yep.
But he dances and everything, so
that's true.
There's some movies that I watched. I mean, I'm not going to get all into them, but there's some movies that I watched that I know are supposed to be good movies, and I watched them when I was young, and I have like little flashes, but I really don't know what the movie's about, like Jacob's Ladder, stuff like that.
Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah. And that is one of those movies. Like, I know I saw it, and I get little flashes of it, but I don't really know anything about it.
Jacob's Ladder's got some legit nightmare horror in it. It's got some super creepy imagery and stuff.
Okay, well, those were the nightmares of my childhood, because I don't remember them anymore.
That's one that I should probably revisit too, because it's been a long time since I watched that one.
Jacob's Ladder I've seen several times when I was younger. So I have, that one's like burned into my mind. It's not fresh; it's just burned there. It's not an uplifting movie at all either.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Melanie.
Yes.
What did you watch?
I watched 13th, which is a documentary from Netflix, and I think it was made, if not by, then maybe like with some of the people that are involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't know. It did say BLM in like the credits or whatever, so I don't know how exactly they were involved in it, but apparently they were. But it's an in-depth look at the prison system in the United States and how it reveals the nation's history of racial inequality. And a lot of this I knew, probably a lot of people do. Basically, prisons, not that we didn't have them, but prisons became the kind of widespread thing that they are at the end of slavery, because the 13th Amendment, which is why it's called 13th, says that it's illegal to own people or to have people, basically slavery is illegal, except in the case of prisoners.
Right.
And that's where it started, well, we can't have slaves anymore, but he was loitering. So now he's my prisoner. So now he has to work for me for free. stuff like that.
This is a very timely pick for at least for us locally, because in Nebraska, just a week ago, just last week or so, voted to remove the slavery language from
our state laws.
Yeah, I think it was our state constitution.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when it first started. Because I remember somebody talking to me about it, even the voting. I mean, I was like, well, of course, why would we allow slavery, in our constitution or whatever? And they were like, yeah, but if you take the word slavery out, then what they're doing so I don't know if they're right or not. Who knows? But they were trying to tell me that leave it in, because otherwise we could say that, it's not slavery. We don't do slavery, see? But I voted to get rid of it anyway. I'm just sharing. Don't tell everybody except the world. So anyway.
Yeah, real quick. And okay, I see what they're getting at.
Like, call it what it is. I get that. Yeah. But
still, and it removes the wording, and I noticed they kept mentioning it mentions the wording, and it's like, okay, well, that is suspicious, but at least get the wording out of there, because it's one step closer to getting away from because you committed some type of crime, which you don't break the law, but people do get put in jail for mundane stuff,
right?
And they essentially strip you of your rights.
And that was, I mean, you watch the documentary. I recommend it. I'm assuming, like me, there's a lot of stuff that you probably already know. But there's probably some things that could surprise you. There were some things that surprised me. So yeah, it's not exactly chronological, but it kind of starts in the past, and how, slavery had a huge impact on, or the end of slavery, I should say, had a huge impact on what prison is. And then, as it expanded throughout time, and the different things that the government did. And sometimes perhaps they really thought they were doing something good. Like, part of it is Bill Clinton with the 3 strikes and you're out. And
his crime bill. Yep.
Yeah, and the mandatory minimum sentences that were horrible, well, for everybody, but especially minority communities. And now he admits that was really a bad idea, and it hurt the country. He admits that, which is great. Except they're not doing anything about it, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not doing anything to remedy it. And just, racism is so tied to law enforcement and the prison system that it's kind of impossible, really, to talk about it without talking about the other. But even if you didn't want to talk about racism, even if you just wanted to talk about the prison system, they still use prisoners as slave labor.
Yeah.
They still have people serve their time for their crime, but they're not citizens when they get out. They can't vote. They can't have guns. They can't do a lot. They can't get jobs, most of them. So
makes them a second class citizen all over again.
Exactly.
This tied very much into not the documentary specifically. I haven't seen it, but this ties into something that bugs me a lot. But it very much has to do with the rise of for-profit prisons. And
that's in there too, yeah.
And that contributes to situations where it benefits prisons as well as judges who might cut deals with prisons and companies that run these for-profit prisons to keep those prisons stocked. And it's not about rehabilitation at all, because that
No,
does
no.
not benefit them. Prisons, like they're having prisoners, those are their customer. Well, the government's their customer, but those are like, supply and demand. They don't want to rehabilitate anybody. They want to release them so they'll come right back.
Or not
And they
release
have this
them at all.
or not release them at all. And then they have a perpetual cycle of, I don't know, I guess product, whatever it is that makes them money from contracts with the government.
Well, and that's
For-profit prisons are evil.
I agree. And it does get into that a lot. And to touch on a little bit of what you said, when a company gets the government contract, those are set up for years, so they get paid to do a thing. It doesn't mean they have to do the thing. So if their job is to take care, like healthcare for the prisoners, they got their $1 billion. The less they spend actually on the health of the prisoners, the more profit they make. Stuff like that. It's our whole system is really screwed up. Oh, and there's a couple statistics that I did want to share that I thought were mind-boggling. America has 5% of the world's population, but we have 25% of the world's prisoners. Also, and this is the racial part of it. 1 in 17 white men will spend the rest of their lives in prison. 1 in 3 black men will spend the rest of their lives in prison. That's crazy to me. That's so high. And I mean, I always knew that there was like a racial disparity, but that's so huge. I didn't realize that it was one in 3. That's crazy. And it's sickening, And another thing, real quick, I brought it up a little bit earlier, the thing with the bills, and just turning in bills that have like, the corporation logo stamped on it when you turn it in. That is an actual thing that happened for a crime bill that was turned in by I can't remember who he is.
Oh yeah, I remember this part of the documentary. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was from ALEC, which is, I can't remember what it stands for. You can look it up if you want. But ALEC is like a political group that includes both politicians and corporations, and they work together to, help solve the problems of the law. No, it's I can make money if you do this, so do this, and I'll pump money into your
I'll contribute to your campaign.
So yeah,
right.
So that's where we're at, and it's good though that they're making documentaries about it, and that they bring this up in it also, that we're in an age where we can surveil the police and the government just as much as they surveil us. Almost.
Right.
Maybe not entirely, but pretty close. So it's a lot harder for them to take advantage of us if we can expose what they're doing on the daily, So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of I'm resisting the urge to just like take this conversation more places, but that's why I wanted you to wait, because like this got into, since it was a documentary and got into some very relevant real world right now politics. And so was it good? Was the documentary good? I got to stop myself.
It was good. It was a downer, I suppose. I mean, how could it not be? But there were some things that I liked about it. Like, it was crazy to me. Newt Gingrich was in it. And,
yeah, I was shocked by that.
Yeah, and he was basically like, no, it's totally racist, and it was totally set up purposely to be racist. He says that, and that's crazy to me for a guy like that to just readily admit that like that. And not only admit it, but kind of be ashamed of it too, which I appreciated a little bit.
Right.
Because we should be ashamed of it, especially people like that,
Yeah. People.
They also had what's her name? Michelle. I don't know her last name, but she wrote a good book that probably influenced this documentary quite a bit, called The New Jim Crow, mass incarceration in the era of color blindness. And so it draws a lot on that, and it gets much more into like the data end of things. But yeah, they had a lot of great speakers in this documentary.
Yeah, they did. And like, yeah, politicians, political activists from old Black Panthers and stuff, just, and new people. Yeah, it was really good. It is really good. It's, like I said, a lot of it, most people, if you don't know, you've been hiding under a rock. But there's still a lot of stuff that I would imagine not everybody knows. So it's definitely worth watching, especially if you care about the world. So.
Well, 51 or 2% of America cares.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay, cool. Yeah. Government.
So 13th, Netflix. I recommend it.
Netflix has a lot of interesting looking documentaries that I almost picked any one of them, but I was like, I don't want to get too political on it.
It's difficult for me, and I only say this because the main documentary watchers I know are conspiracy theorists also. So I'm always a little iffy about those things because they're, conspiracy theorists. Not always, but a lot of times are easily influenced. And if it's not accurate information, then I think it's a bad thing. But this is not that one of those. This is accurate information. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not that Netflix wouldn't carry questionable stuff, but in terms of a lot of the documentaries they'll pick up, at least the modern documentaries they'll pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paul says Netflix has been killing it with the documentaries lately. Yeah, I feel like they're not going to pick up your, I don't know, like a 9/11 conspiracy documentary.
Wait, right? There's nothing wrong with 9/11 conspiracy documentaries, okay?
I know. I feel like I've watched at least one with you, but yeah, I feel like they probably vet their stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just a liberal leftist corporation trying to indoctrinate mainstream media. Or something.
They're all you're all trying to blame Carol Baskins, and you know what? I think she's innocent. So
actually, now that I think about it,
speaking of documentaries,
Tiger King is not a good example of vetting a documentary. That is a very manipulative documentary that kind of perpetuates some unsubstantiated stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, poor her. I mean,
also apparently they removed a whole bunch of like super racist stuff that what's his name, Tiger King said. So it's like, well,
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
But it also, like, I don't know, whatever.
Can I tell you a stereotype that I believe, and it's wrong of me? It's wrong of me.
But oh God, maybe, I don't know. You scare me when you say last episode. You're like, I know I'm a little racist, but, and I was like, oh God,
it is about racism.
Buckle up.
I feel like people with mullets are racist.
Well, okay, listen. Grant, we'll tolerate your mullet racism, your mullet prejudices.
Yeah.
Savannah asks, how the heck do you think Carol Baskins is innocent?
I'm not saying that she's an entirely innocent person. I'm just saying I don't think she killed her husband. I think somebody did it for her and she took advantage of it. That's all I'm saying. I think it happened and she was like, this is an opportunity. I'm going to just say screw you to his whole family and keep everything for myself. I don't think she had the capacity to kill him. I think he got killed by whoever he was often whatever other countries buying illegal freaking animals from. That's what I think.
That's where I feel like Tiger King falls more into. It's so weird that we're suddenly talking about Tiger King. Remember Tiger King? That was this year.
Yeah, I know.
We went full Nicolas Cage on this episode.
But I feel like Tiger King, where it's more reality show than documentary, because thinking about how they portray, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. The documentary, without saying, without somebody coming on and being like, we think she killed her, I'm the filmmaker of what you're watching. No, but it manipulates you into like, it seems very much like it wants to convey that she did.
Oh, I'm sure.
Paul also says Carol Baskins killed her husband, whacked him. Oh,
well,
Carol Grawlix face Baskins.
I just don't think
killed her husband. Whacked
I don't think she did. I don't even think I know that Tiger King burned down his own trailer to hide some whatever. Let's not get into that. But
we were covering the political spectrum, but Tiger King, let's dial it back.
I'm just saying, I don't like her. I don't think she's a good person. I don't think she's a murderer. That's my opinion.
Well, I have non-zero proof. Okay, I have no proof, actually.
That's an allusion to the pre-show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. See
the pre-shows that don't get recorded anymore.
Yeah. You can't even listen to those on patreon.com.
That's
/Grawlix podcast. But if you ever wondered what the pre-show sounds like, it's kind of like the political part of this episode, and then some of the stuff we didn't record.
Savannah has a good point. I think making interesting. I think making a murderer was filmed in a way to make the main guy, not the nephew, to make you think he was innocent. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's one of those, and I feel like the kind of like true crime podcast series do this quite a bit, and kind of catch some slack for it. And that's why I say Tiger King, and making the series like that where it's supposed to be like grab you series feel more like reality show, because if you watch a reality show, you can tell in the editing it is wildly edited in a way like it's not anywhere like events played out, just to get the emotional response. And I feel like that's kind of what's going on with some of these docu-series, because they're cut together not in a way to clearly present the facts. It's to take you on a journey. It's to tell a more compelling story, or to put you in the perspective of a certain person who by the end of it is basically a character. You're not really getting even an accurate portrayal of that person. Yeah. So, and I know documentary films do that a little bit. And it's mainly so that they can get you on the side of somebody and then pull like a 180 at the end and be like, oh, what?
Right.
Tiger King's a real kind of a crap bag. I'm at a loss for a replacement for the S word. So I guess, I don't know. It's just the whole, like, I feel like when I think documentary, I think something that's much more straightforward with facts and is fairly reliable. While docu-series tends to feel like it's kind of twisted. It's not necessarily going to completely give you false information, but it's definitely going to twist what's there to make it more compelling from a storytelling standpoint. And that's not necessarily reality.
Well, specifically in Making of a Murderer, to Savannah's point, the first full season was about like the uncle or whatever. And then there's a second season about the nephew. And it's like, okay, so yeah, that first season may have left it up in the air to make it seem like this nephew is definitely innocent. Like he just got wrapped up in this thing. Right. And we don't know that, but there's going to be a whole nother season where we dive in.
Right.
Like they did that so that they could have a second season. potentially.
And I've thought about this before, but I think Tiger King really made me think about it, because the series goes on for quite a while, and you're like, yeah, this Tiger King guy, he's a nutbag, but like he's just kind of getting screwed over. And I'm sure it's after you've seen some other, like they've used footage from later on without giving you certain information, and then later it's like, oh, well, remember the one guy that shot himself, and all his meth boyfriends and all this other stuff, and oh, there's a hitman, like, and then it's like, I feel like that would have been better information to give me at some point to like give me a more accurate depiction of who this guy really is. But that wouldn't have made for a good twist towards the end of the season. So
right.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so
anyway, watch 13th. It's
13th.
good.
And the Tiger King, apparently, because we can't leave it alone.
I tell you what, though, Nicolas Cage, I was like, because there was still that rumor. There was still that rumor. This is the Nicolas Cage Tiger King Snyder Watch the podcast now.
Okay, all right.
It's you can't cage the tiger. Snyder Tiger. Okay, so
what happens in the cage stays in the cage.
Oh. After watching that movie that Melanie and I discussed the last episode, I can see the Nicolas Cage Tiger King casting now, because he played like kind of a druggy dirtbag. I was like, okay, maybe. Yeah, I can see it. And before I was like, whatever, like Tiger King, that guy's crazy, Nicolas Cage is crazy, whatever. It's a weird casting, but do it. But I kind of actually see it a little bit more after watching Between Worlds. So if people don't follow our show from episode to episode, there's so many things there. No wonder the listens are where they are at. There's so many things they're like, what are these people talking about? You need to be in the know.
We do this show for Matt D at this point.
We do the show for Matt D, Savannah, and Paul, all of which are the people I see in the chat right now.
All right.
Full disclosure, I see it shows we have 4 viewers right now. We mentioned the 3. The 4th is probably Jesse.
Maybe. I don't know if it counts when my phone's on.
It's Jesse. Do we want to do some news? I know it's getting late. I have a bunch of news stories, but I can kind of selectively pick the more interesting ones or something.
Sure.
Yeah, we can skip them all together.
Let's do some.
Okay. That's what I needed. Some input. We'll do some. This one real quick. This is an older story. It's from November 4th, but I made note of it for last week's episode. That didn't happen. Oh, and Turner. Hey, Turner, what's going on? I forget. He's got the hand wavy. Of course, Turner. And Turner, Turner's a cool guy for one, but he's been with us every week for several weeks now.
Yeah. Whoa, we got another fan.
Hey, original Fright Night director is planning a Halloween-style legacy sequel. Meaning, so Tom Holland, not that Tom Holland, a different Tom Holland. I talked about Fright Night a few episodes when we did the Creepy Neighbors Monster of the Week episode. Well, it was directed. Did he write it too? I think he wrote it, but he was director for sure by a guy named Tom Holland. Oh, he was a writer. And apparently he's working on Fright Night 2.
Ooh.
Now there was a Fright Night 2 that either had nothing to do with or was not happy with. And since Halloween established that you can just ignore the entirety of a franchise and do a sequel, not even Halloween, I think The Thing and a couple other movies where they're just like, you know what, all those like mini sequels that happened.
Yeah.
The Thing didn't have a bunch of sequels.
Well, how many times has Terminator done it?
Terminator, right. But they're like, we're going to ignore all that and do a sequel to the first movie, the good one, which makes this sequel a good movie because we're going to do a sequel to the good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
However, yeah, so
That reminds me of when women are like, I'm going to renew my virginity for my next marriage.
what?
Oh, it's a thing. But anyway, move on.
It mentions Candyman too. Is Candyman one of those? I wonder. I don't know enough about the Candyman sequels. Paul asks, Fright Night 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's all the 80s dance clubs singing with sexy vampire and dancing.
Ooh.
Sweet. I'm there. Is what's his name still around? Put him in it again. He'll be old, but do it. The vampire, I mean. So he said, quote, I'm still trying. Oh, talking about a follow-up to Fright Night. Somebody had asked him. And I'm getting this from movieweb.com. He said, I'm still trying. I'm writing a sequel to Fright Night now. I'm calling it Fright Night 2 Resurrection.
Yeah, that's been used.
So, like, such a cliche subtitle for a sequel, but whatever. Paul says The Thing has another version coming out. Don't tell me these things. Well, it's the only way to protect myself. If you want to see something done right, do it yourself. Of course, Charlie's back, and so is Evil Ed, who died in the first one. I'm bringing back everybody I can. I'm calling it Resurrection because we've got to resurrect Billy Cole and Jerry Dandridge. And now I'll say no more. End quote.
Oh, is that why?
I mean, I feel like, the Resurrection probably came first, but okay.
I mean, he named it Fright Night because they rhyme. So
yeah.
I don't know. Okay. I like person responsible for the first one making another one. I like that. Fright Night is so good because it's Fright Night.
Right. Remember the prequels to Star Wars? Sometimes that happens.
Right. Sometimes it's just better to let a thing be a thing.
Yeah.
If you want to do another vampire thing, make another vampire thing. Maybe it'll be a modern classic, but lightning in a bottle and all that. Speaking of, I'm going to jump all over. Where'd it go? Home Alone director Chris Columbus says Disney Plus is wasting its time rebooting the film. And mainly this is a story because I didn't know they were rebooting Home Alone, but it's not exactly a reboot. It's a reboot in a Disney Plus series style, so it's not going to be a movie.
Sounds like crap.
Yeah. Well, the director, Chris Columbus, he sailed the ocean blue, true fact. He was asked about it because Fox had owned the IP, owned the intellectual property that is Home Alone, and now Disney owns that. And so they are going to do there's some people associated with it, but they were people that I'm not familiar with. But they're going to reboot it as a series, which is weird. It's actually not the first time Home Alone series has been attempted. I know one of the many god-awful sequels, like 5 or 6, right. Number 5 or 6 or something, because they just went direct to video after 2, I think, was a backdoor pilot that didn't get picked up. But he was asked, and yeah, basically he says, quote, and I'm getting this from IndieWire, it's a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. What's the point? I'm a firm believer that you don't remake films that have had the longevity of Home Alone. I kind of like that point. You're not going to create lightning in a bottle again, which is what reminded me of the story. It's just not going to happen. So why do it? It's like doing a paint-by-numbers version of a Disney animated film, a live-action version of that. What's the point? Shots fired. It kind of is shots fired at Disney in general, which means
it's got a point though. Like Disney's not going to be able to like capture the sadistic, homicidal traps that Macaulay Culkin did. This is a Disney film show,
right? And can I be a little controversial? Home Alone sucked. Home Alone
it's sucked. Good. The timeless classic.
It sucked.
Timeless classic.
It shouldn't have had one sequel, much less a reboot of a sequel. It's crap.
Lost in New York is not too bad. Except it's got Worth it for that sound. So worth it for that sound.
Oh man, it was.
I'm gonna clip that and make that my ringtone. I love it. It's cheesy. Okay, I get it. But like, it's pretty good.
Is it?
It's great. I watched it on Grawlix Cinematic Universe. Go to grawlixpodcast.com. Check out Cinematic Universe. And Jasper and I did Home Alone a while back. Home Alone and Die Hard. The Christmas classics that Melanie loves.
Die Hard
For all your wet and sticky bandit needs.
Well,
okay, they're terrible.
Yeah.
Yes. Die Hard's not terrible, but it's not a Christmas movie. Home Alone is terrible. The first movie
And a Christmas movie.
The first movie that was decent that Macaulay Culkin was in was The Good Son.
The Good Son is good.
It wasn't even that great, really, but it was not bad. And Elijah Wood was in it, and I love.
What about My Girl? Which is
What
the
about My
second time
Girl?
that movie's
I don't like My Girl.
timeless
It made-
classic.
It made me cry.
Yeah, it's impactful. This is the second time My Girl's come up this episode, which is more than anybody's talked about My Girl in a decade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
If you've been playing the home game version of Grawlix Nights Bingo, go ahead and mark in the free space square for My Girl 2.
Ugh.
Paul says Home Alone the series, GPS for the holidays.
CPS.
CPS, Child Protective Services. I was thinking GPS because like it's kind of hard to lose. No, it's not. I shouldn't say that. People probably lose kids all the time. But you know, it'll take a lot more than magical windstorm to
Make you lose your kids?
make you lose your kids now.
Now it's the government.
The government
Now
locked
it's
you.
the government.
Full circle.
The dead zone.
Well, how
in your
about
cell service.
Stone? How about Stoned Alone? Because this article mentions that before the Disney-Fox merger, Fox apparently had been developing a reimagining of Home Alone called Stoned Alone, and the plan was for Ryan Reynolds to star in the leading role as an adult stoner who finds himself fending off robbers while alone over the holidays and high on marijuana.
If you're gonna do Stoned Alone, an adult version, why not just use Macaulay Culkin?
True.
yeah, that would actually be kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And he looks like Macaulay Culkin as an adult is always a little weird, but he's looking way healthier than he was for a long time.
When
He's on all time.
he was like, pay me $20 to eat this pizza. Sorry.
That's right. He
And
was.
that weird video of just him sitting there eating a piece of pizza.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
good.
so awkward.
I've kind of come to appreciate him, adult Macaulay Culkin, because he pops up on. Listen, you pop up on Red Letter Media a bunch.
Mhm.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, you're a fan of the
Those guys are
weird,
great.
like meat abusing egg beater. We're not going to talk about him. Let's move on.
She's talking about How to Basic, which is
Oh, geez.
without meat abusing egg. Wait, what'd you say? Meat abusing egg beater?
Yes, because that's what he does. He's like slap, 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 and then he breaks a bunch of eggs and like is doing something inappropriate. Is all I'm saying. Okay.
Oh, the kid who played, I think the lead in Jojo Rabbit would be the Macaulay Culkin character in the Home Alone whatever's. Whatever. That kid was all right, except that the makeup. He was supposed to be scarred up. They could have done a little better on the makeup.
Yeah.
He looked fine.
Yeah, I doubt you can jump on a
Grenade and look.
look anything like that. But
All right.
movie magic.
I'm gonna skip the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp stories because there was two.
Oh God.
That is a
please.
whole drama that we've never dived into because that's
Right.
not the kind of stuff we do. But there were basically, as far as she's concerned, Aquaman 2, she's still going to be in it because people are like, kick her out because of their lawsuit stuff. Johnny Depp did get kicked out of Fantastic Beasts series. So the story I had about him was basically just he was forced out. He filmed one scene. but he's getting paid for the whole movie. So,
well, that's not too bad then.
right. He's like, vacation.
He's like, I'm going back to my island.
But yeah, I mean, that's drama. That's their personal life drama. And I know it's very public, but that's what's so irritating by trying, we read a bunch of news from the same sites over and over. But that's because most sites that do like entertainment news, it's all celebrity gossip. And that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about a Snyder watch. That will gossip it up. Real quick, because this will get me to a thing I want to point. So YouTube Rewind, not happening this year. They canceled YouTube Rewind.
What?
YouTube made a tweet because, once again, news is coming from Twitter. Since 2010, we've ended the year with Rewind, a look back at the year's most impactful creators, videos, and trends, which in itself has become a meme for how out of touch YouTube actually is with the you, because whether you love it or only remember 2018, at least they know Rewind was always meant to be a celebration of you. 2020, we don't care about you, and we're not going to hide it. Okay, that's not what
we're not going to hide it anymore. Yeah,
but 2020 has been different, and it doesn't feel right to carry on as if it weren't. So we're taking a break from Rewind this year. I'm not torn on this. We know that so much of the good that did happen in 2020 was created by all of you. You found ways to lift people up, help them cope, and make them laugh. You made a hard year genuinely better. Thank you for making a difference, YouTube. I feel like that's a prime reason to then still double down and celebrate the you in YouTube. And
that's like a better reason even.
Go do what people have been wanting to do, like actually go back and do like an old school style Rewind where it focuses on the popular huge corporation, non-talk show host, non-Will Smith channels.
Yes. Yeah, last year was the biggest joke ever.
Right. Like they mentioned, or only remember 2018. It's been a joke since 2018. Like it's a meme.
Yeah, I mean, it's an event now because it's such a joke. Like the videos that are reactions to it almost get more views than the real thing.
They definitely get more upvotes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, by far.
Or thumbs up or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul says, can we get a YouTube fast forward instead?
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is because I say even as we stream out to YouTube right now, youtube.com/Grawlix podcast, I eternally enjoy crapping on YouTube because I feel like that's
what they do to their users.
It's just, they've just made it harder and harder. There are hundreds of videos on the Grawlix channel, and they've just been stripping away things that are available to us for years. So,
right.
Whatever. Just because we don't get the views.
Well, baby,
now, what?
I can shave my head again.
No, we're not going to do that. Ever. Okay. However, this story did bring the greatest thing I've seen today. I haven't seen much today, so because I found that story. I had found that story, whatever, on something, and it was just a link to the tweet. So I'm like, well, screw that website. I'm just go to the tweet. And on Twitter, under this thing, it's like, here's more tweets, more random tweets. And I come across this. And this is the greatest thing I've seen today.
Yep.
And it amused me. And I was like, this is a story all on its own. This is from the official Xbox account at Xbox.
Yeah.
We can't believe we have to say this, but please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X. That's from today. Or no, that's from yesterday, it looks like. Yeah, that was great. And then they followed up with, for any non-vape related support questions, please check out the info here. How many times does this have to happen before they finally tweet it out?
Yeah.
And I did appreciate they replied to somebody who had said something about it, and they're like, the Xbox account replied to somebody who's like, someday maybe we'll look back at this and laugh. But so I figured I'd just share that with you all and take a little vape.
So clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Bro clouds.
I wish I could find the one. This was actually also a story that was posted by one of the science channels that I watch, and they had such a good picture. I wish I could show it to you guys, but I can't find it. And it also reminded me, what's up with the Xbox refrigerator? Because why would you have you seen that? They have a refrigerator that looks like an Xbox, and they're like, but it's just a refrigerator. And I'm like, well, why? If you're gonna make an Xbox refrigerator, make it play my freaking Xbox games. Otherwise, what's the point of it? I don't want an Xbox that looks like a refrigerator. That's silly. But if it plays my games, though, that's a whole nother thing. Multitasking.
Oh my gosh. Xbox Series X fridge. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Let me pull up a picture. I don't want to pull up the video.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it does just look like the Xbox X.
Because
the Xbox X is just a rectangular thing. Here, let me pull the picture up for viewers. Audio listeners in the future, if you tune in at 8:20 p.m. Central Time on any of our like video enabled social media platforms, you'll be able to watch. It's just a refrigerator that looks like an Xbox because an Xbox is already that shape.
Only a little.
It's okay. It's like a refrigerator that's more basic. It's like remove every
ice maker maybe on the inside. It literally looks like it's just for energy drinks.
Oh yeah, they've got it green. Yeah. I don't have any Monster tonight. This is amusing because they could have made it like Melanie was saying, because there are smart fridges that people have been able to like basically hack games onto and play stuff like Doom on their refrigerator. So Xbox, Microsoft, you really kind of half-aided this one, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. And besides that, if you were gonna get an Xbox fridge, wouldn't it be a mini fridge, really? Come on.
Right. Matt said, is that at 8:20? Savannah says 8:20-ish.
Yes.
Yes.
That's fair.
That's when we start.
On Thursday.
So Microsoft, can we blow vape clouds into our Xbox Series X refrigerator?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
And then it'll freeze and make everything taste good.
Skip that because that's a major time killer. All right, are we ready? Are we ready for everyone's favorite segment?
Yes.
I'm ready. I am so ready.
Do it.
I'm doing it. Snyder Watch. Watch out. Because Snyder's here to show you all kinds of stuff. That's pretty much the news. Basically, he was on a podcast recently. I was about to ridicule them. Or it was pretty much a live stream that they call a podcast. But then I was like, oh, wait, I shouldn't say that. That's what we've been doing for a year.
Oh,
this is totally a podcast still.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
it's a podcast first, except we do the live stream first.
So he was on. People, listen, these news sites are amazing at getting multiple stories out of the thing, because I come across like 4 or 5 different articles about different things that were all basically the same couple of quotes they pulled from this one like live stream appearance he was on. All right. So Zack Snyder shows what Martian Manhunter will look like in his Justice League. And it's this. Okay, no, it's not. That's the anime. That's just the picture they used in the article. So this is coming from Cinema Blend, but they pulled this from. Oh, they're not even going to say what it's pulled. They pulled it from before I show it. I want to at least know.
Well,
I don't know.
While you're looking, can I just real quick comment?
Please.
Matt said, "Got my Snyder pretzels."
Snyder pretzels.
In my brain, I'm like, "What do those look like?" And I'm like, "Is that like a dubstep machine with some lens flare?" I don't understand what a Snyder pretzel would look like.
It looks like I bet it looks like the Superman S. But you can only eat them if you're listening to dubstep or covers of Leonard Cohen songs.
And you can only eat them if you have your mustache digitally removed. Oh wait, those would be Whedon pretzels. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry, Zach. Okay, so he just showed it briefly. And if you didn't know, so this guy apparently is Martian Manhunter.
Oh.
Apparently.
Okay.
He's
not a Martian, so that's not really Martian Manhunter.
Spoilers, Zach.
Martian Manhunter can disguise himself. He doesn't walk around like, hey, I'm a Martian in my civilian life.
Right.
He plays as a human. Apparently,
that would have been a really cool reveal if he didn't just reveal it right here.
I feel like Martian Manhunter I didn't spoil it though. He did, because this has been in stories for a long time, in articles for a long time. But also, it's like, well, why didn't he show up then when they were fighting? Whatever.
It would have been better if they would have just showed us what he looks like as in his Martian form, than to be like, here he is.
Well, and we did the story on, because we that's what you gotta do with Snyder Watch. You cover small things. Right. We did the story on when he released that trailer, how apparently Martian Manhunter was in one of the scenes, but that guy wasn't in one of the scenes. And he said it was the scene. Apparently, it was the scene where Amy Adams is hugging what's her name, Superman's mom. And it's like, oh, wait, so that Superman's mom's Martian Manhunter? Because he released like storyboards.
Why did you say that name, Matthew Downs?
Martha. That's right, Matt. Martha Manhunter. We even named the episode after that, didn't we? Oh, okay. Yes. Why did you say that name? So this is the news. This is what he showed, and he wouldn't show it again. He loves teasing this stuff out.
Yeah.
The other thing, no, I do have a little bit more, but the other thing is, and this is not new news. I didn't realize it had ballooned this high until I seen like a meme or something that, or no, it was a tweet. 70 million? Because last I recall, it was 30 million. They were giving him 30 million to do reshoots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently in September, because I looked up the stories when it first broke earlier tonight, it was September. We missed it. It's $70 million now.
Baby, Snyder cut. I mean, we still have the Snyder Watch. What do you think's going to happen when you put out the Snyder Watch?
That's true. Interest is growing. HBO took notice. They're like, we can't disappoint these guys.
Snyder does look, responding to Paul, excuse me. Snyder looks so damn smug. He does. He's all in his little, like, what is that? Like a tracksuit or something? Like a Venture Brother? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. 70 million to finish a movie that was already finished.
Right.
Well, they had to get Leto, so he's probably not super cheap.
Okay, so here's the other story, which isn't super new, and it's not really a story. It's just a a compilation of the characters, and this is from Cinema Blend. All the DC characters being added into the Snyder Cut. So we've got, of course, everyone's favorite Joker. In case you weren't sure, he's damaged.
Yeah.
It's tattooed on his forehead. It's like such a garbage Joker.
I mean, it's really written all over his face.
Oh, we got Dark Side. You got Die for Dark Side. Desaad. And audio listeners, I'm sorry, this is not coming across super well, but there are pictures of these people, these characters, and that's what we're looking at. Who was played by Peter Guinness?
I like that name.
William Dafoe apparently was in this thing, or will be in this thing, as I don't know.
The Aquaman guy.
Oh, is he?
I'm
Aquaman
assuming.
character?
Yeah.
I have not watched any of the Aquaman, so yeah.
Interesting.
Which is weird because he's definitely the hottest.
Oh, was he in Aquaman?
Yeah.
Okay, I still haven't seen Aquaman.
Yeah, which is weird because he's definitely the hottest of all of the
Aquaman and women.
No, no, I was going to say of the Justice
Under
League.
the sea.
He's the hottest of the Justice League.
Gets hotter when Aquaman is in the water. I don't know.
I'm not saying that.
There was a water fight.
Here, I want Nicolas Cage, William Dafoe, and Christopher Walken in a movie now.
Ooh, make it
All
so.
of them.
That would be magical.
The faces.
Hell, put him on a bridge with Picard. Make it a
There's
Star
no-
Trek.
There's no film or hard drive that can hold that footage.
No,
That could be
put
the
them,
Tarantino movie.
no, put them under the bridge, and then people have to like cross over it and solve their riddles. That's exactly what we need.
In fact, don't even make that a movie. Just make it a reality show. And Jeff Goldblum could be the narrator.
Goldblum.
Right?
Oh, so we mentioned forever ago that I'm going to spoil it now. We had watched Happy, which has been canceled after the second season. It was a series. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. But
Yeah.
we had alluded to I lost his name. Jeff Goldblum cameo. He plays and I'm going to spoil it. At the end of season 2, in like the last episode, he plays the voice of God.
Oh,
So good.
Yeah.
that's
Goldblum.
incredible.
Oh. Okay. Okay, well, I didn't know he was an Aquaman. Apparently they had shot scenes of him for Justice League. How packed full did they have this They have characters that show up in Aquaman that's like, why would he be in Justice League?
Is that a ponytail or a sword behind his head?
I believe he's got a ponytail. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of both. That might be
Weird.
a sword something, but there's also like a little funky rat tail going on.
Yeah. I think it could be both. Yeah.
They have the Atom, who is the character, like
What?
basically Ray Palmer's successor,
Oh, okay.
apparently.
Okay.
Eleanor Stone. Oh, the mom, Cyborg, Cyberman, Cyborg's mom. There'll be more of her, maybe. Probably because it seems like most cyborg stuff got cut out.
Yeah.
Because he's mopey.
Because he's mopey.
Iris West, of course, because she was in trailers or something early on and then just never showed up in the film.
Mhm.
Right.
Martian Manhunter, that guy.
Spoilers.
Oh, this doesn't even list all of them. Because then there's also probably in footage we've seen, but Lex Luthor is there when what's his name?
Didn't they say that Ryan Reynolds was going to be in there as Green Lantern somehow?
There's been talk of, yeah, I've heard talk of that. And again, let's see. Oh, what's this? I missed Maddie D giving us some pitches here. A buddy cop drama where Cage and Walken are buddy cops and Defoe is the hard-nosed police captain. Oh, Defoe's the captain. Okay. And the bad guy, Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
That's
I
so...
like it.
I like that Jeff Goldblum's the bad guy because he seems like the most chill. Walken seems pretty chill, but also like I've seen him when he's not chill. He's scary.
The rest of these characters play bad guys more often anyways.
But I think Jeff Goldblum was probably the scariest bad guy because automatically what comes in my head is The Fly. And he was just like, oh, yeah, I love you. You know,
right,
like,
right.
Whatever, you know, it's just horrible. Horrible imagery and stuff. But definitely for me, I would say that's the scariest.
Yeah, The Fly is disturbing. Cronenberg, man. Paul says because the movie doesn't exist and Snyder is Grawlix face making the. I am redubbing this. I don't know what they call the emoji. That's the Grawlix face. Making this up as he goes. Just wait for Shazam. Well, here's the thing though. Originally, the Justice League was a two-parter. There was Justice League Part 1 and Part 2, and I'm assuming he had the whole script done. He obviously was setting stuff up in Batman v Superman because there's that whole thing, and I hate how he recut it, but there's that whole thing where the Flash comes back from the future to like warn Bruce about something, but then he made it
your kids, Bruce. Something's got to be done about your kids.
Yeah, but then they made it confusing where Bruce wakes up again like it was a dream, so that convoluted the water, muddied the water, convoluted.
There you go.
The symbolism I'm going for. That's not even the right word either. Anyway,
there were too many H's and too many O's in the twos.
Point is, like, Justice League was supposed to be 2 movies, and given how like Batman v Superman, they're probably gonna be like 2.5, 3 hour long movies. So my guess is he's just like, and then he had to cut it down to 1 movie. He had to cut it down to 1 movie.
It's gonna suck,
right? And my guess is now he's like pulling pieces out of the old 2-part script. Oh, put it all in here. Give me that money, HBO or Warner Brothers.
All of the above.
I was thinking about it because there were a few articles that I didn't include that I read through today. I think part of the appeal to me for doing a Snyder watch, an ongoing series about a movie that like none of us were really excited for and didn't really like the first time when it came out. Because it's like the Donner cut or something like that, or even like Blade Runner. Think about all the weird director's cuts and studio cuts of that movie. Like, I'm fascinated by these alternate versions and like what went, why, what happened, what got messed up, what was the original vision of these movies, and we get to watch because of the horrible wonder that is the internet. We get to watch it play out in real time, and it's very strange, but it is somewhat unprecedented because Donner then didn't get to like take what he shot for Superman 2 and turn it into a multi-part, big, massive, multi-million-dollar budget TV series. Like, it's interesting and it's weird.
It is interesting too because I think it will be really different, and usually they're not. Usually it's a couple cutscenes. The exception being Paycheck. Is that what it's called? Mel Gibson movie? I don't know.
Payback?
That is, Payback. That's completely different, really.
Yeah, where the director's cut and the theatrical are completely, just totally different movies. Like
totally different movies. Which is
like the entire acts, totally different movie.
But that's odd. You don't usually see that, you know?
Right.
This one, I think, might be. So that's interesting, sure. But it's not worth another, $70 million? Give me $70 million. I'll make you like a dozen awesome movies, okay?
Right.
I just don't understand it.
I'll even put a Superman in one of them if you want.
A Superman.
I'll put like a Superman in every single one. But one of them's gonna
scrap that movie. This is just called Superman's the movie.
Superman's the movie. So is there like is it like Superman's the movie? Like an apostrophe? Okay.
Everyone in it is got black hair, blue eyes, and a little bit of curl right there.
Yeah, it's
You
pretty
know?
racist.
Paul says, calling it now, Snyder Cut ends up like George Lucas remastered Star Wars hated. I don't think so, because the thing with the remastered Star Wars is the Star Wars movies were beloved.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I think if it was just updating the effects, which people get funny about, especially if you rewatch them now and it's like, oh yeah, that's some 90s CGI that's updated with. But or at least some versions. He's probably updated it several times, but he messed with certain things that, like the Han shot first thing,
Yeah.
like it's so overplayed, or it's so like people made that joke to death. But I think it made people so upset because you're fundamentally changing the character,
Right.
and the Whedon cut of Justice League is not a beloved movie.
I don't know. This has nothing to do with anything, but I did mention earlier, I watched Mandalorian with my nephew. He was super pissed off. Is that okay? Yeah, pissed off that
Sure.
that Boba Fett and who's the guy before him?
Django Fett?
Huh?
Django Fett, his dad?
Yes. That they were
Dad?
not that Disney made them not Mandalorians. And he's like,
Oh.
that's just crap. And I'm like, I don't even know what any of that means, but I'll be upset with you because you want me to be. So if you're a big Star Wars fan, I'm upset with you. Okay.
I think it's interesting, and I just hope that they're like awesome. Like, because he wasn't awesome. He just looked awesome in the originals. He didn't do anything except fall into a big pit.
Mm-hmm.
So
his first appearance was on the holiday special. Like, we're not talking about a character steeped in beloved mythology.
Right.
I also had to argue. I'm sorry, real quick. Again, Star Wars, it takes up too much of my life. Thanks, Christmas. It's because of Christmas. I told you, man.
But it's not a Christmas movie.
Ewoks are evil geniuses. And I had to convince my nephew of this, but I'm like, how are they going to get on some technology they don't know and make it work immediately? And their place is full of stormtrooper helmets. You know they ate those people, right? Because they were definitely going to cook the normal cast when they caught them, but then they changed their mind. They ate all those stormtroopers, and they're geniuses. Ewoks are terrifying.
I'll agree with that. They are scary.
Oh, I lied on news. I do want to cover one thing real quick. And I'm not going to run through it because there's renewed and canceled TV shows for the year.
Oh, yeah.
But there were a couple. I'm still, especially seeing what got renewed, I'm still so disappointed that Glow got canceled. Honestly, it just doesn't really make sense. But there are some good movies that got canceled, or good shows. Rewind. There are some good shows that got renewed. Now, this isn't Netflix, but The Boys renewed, which people might have already known. Like, some of this might be old news, but
there's going to be a Tekken movie.
Tekken renewed, coming out in 10 years.
Might be old news. I don't know.
Oh, this is why this is not old news, but The Crown renewed.
Good.
New season 4. They had Doctor Who on here as renewed, but then it occurred to me, is there ever a question that it wouldn't be renewed?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is there ever a question?
I've never.
I mean,
they're filming, like it's back in production. They did a tweet or an Instagram or something with the slate. So we will get more 13th.
I just assumed it was a given, and that suddenly put the thought in my head that it could be canceled someday.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, I don't care how much we hate it. You don't ever cancel that show.
No. Because we went through an entire decade without it.
We love it, even when we hate it.
We
love it more when we hate it. How about that?
We kind of do. We can't stop talking about it.
The more we want to continue.
I was just gonna say, do you started off hating it, Randy, and then I was like, look at this gas mask episode, and then every single episode. Come on.
You give me creepy, literally every single. Yeah, you give me creepy gas mask zombie children. I will watch every episode that is available. Over 50 years of TV. I've watched it all.
You have.
Yeah, you have. You've watched more of it than I have.
Me too.
Ask me to recall most of it. I can't. But it all like, woo, those early years, especially, it all blends together. Those like 6-parters, and that's the norm. Oh,
Yeah.
I bought The Underwater Menace. It's been sitting over there like pretty much since the pandemic started. Just because I'm going to need some time to dig into that old school
right.
Doctor Who. It takes time.
We got to do some Doctor Who specials sometime.
do.
Commentaries or something.
Christmas specials.
Ooh, that's a real good idea, Melanie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Doom Patrol renewed. That was one where I was like, whew. Especially with how they left the last season 2, it's got to come back.
It does, because Randy used to dislike one of my favorite actors, and now he loves him.
Brendan Fraser.
I don't love him.
You do too.
I enjoy him. I think he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? His demeanor, now that he's older and broken, makes me feel bad when I crap on him like I used to, so I'm not going to.
Well, he used to be such a pretty boy.
And then life broke him.
He was a theater actor that transitioned into film, and I think he's amazing.
DC Legends of Tomorrow renewed.
Oh,
that's still going. I'm
good.
glad it's been.
Wow. Yeah, I liked it once they just embraced it and went whole hog,
right?
Campy as heck. Yeah,
I like that show too.
I mean, I'm not watching it, but I liked it. The End of the Effing World apparently renewed. I still haven't watched season 2. I liked the first season.
Yeah, I haven't watched the second season either.
It's on Netflix.
I agree.
It's like kind of a dark teen dramedy. Well, it's not. I say teen because the characters are teens, but
it's still not as good as I'm Not Okay With This, which did not get continued, which angers me.
Yeah, see, that's why there's certain movies. It's like, why did some of these get renewed, but then like I'm Not Okay With This and Glow especially, which was already being filmed, they're like, oh, canceled because of the pandemic. Ooh,
yeah.
Are you okay? What was that?
I'm sorry, thought I still had a mute.
I just heard a little clip of something. The Flash renewed. I'm just trying to run through these real quick because we got to end this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Melanie, you should be The Haunting of Hill House renewed. It's interesting that they're still referring to the series of The Haunting of Hill House.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down for another haunting season. I liked Bly Manor. I didn't like it as much as the first one, but
I agree.
I'm down. It was different, and I appreciate that. Like, it doesn't have to be the same thing every.
It doesn't, but it should be scary. So
give me more gothic horror.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down.
I prefer when you have like the tall man or the bent neck lady or something.
There was
actually
a lot
creepy.
Yeah, there was the lake lady. Without going into spoilers, I thought the lake lady was cool, but the first season had more memorable creepies in it.
Yeah, and stop trying to make your wife the. I love the director, but stop trying to make your wife the focus of the show.
She's not bad though. I think she's okay.
I'm not saying she's bad. I'm just saying she doesn't have to be the focus of everything he makes.
Lock and Key got renewed. I didn't know that was
good.
Still going.
Good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that back up. I mean, The Mandalorian. That's like a given.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Melanie, you should be thinking about something we should be amazed about.
Not a whole lot this week. The only thing that I can go for, I've already talked to you about, but I'll talk to everybody else now. Dark Matter is a hypothetical thing that they've had for a long time because there's too much stuff in the universe and not enough that we can see and quantify. So they came up with dark matter to explain that. But there is a sort of new theory that actually is like 3 different theories that they mushed together and said there is no dark matter. Dark matter is information, and information has a mass and is also energy, and it would account for the lack of other matter in the universe without dark matter being a thing, which I find fascinating. So the idea of it behind it basically is that information is in itself a thing that has both mass and energy, which seems actually really realistic to me because, like, say you take a DVD and you fill it with stuff, that stuff's got to take up space, right? Which should take up, I mean, it might not be much, but it should have some kind of weight to it, you would think, or mass. So this makes a lot of sense to me. But it's not proven, of course. Neither is dark matter either. But the theory, it builds on several different theories that have been around since like the 70s. Like massive compact halo objects, or WIMPs, or other things like that. Instead of the dark matter and all of those things, it would just be that information has a. I hate differentiating between weight and mass because they're connected, but they're not the same thing. So it has a mass, which would create gravity and such, and would explain the lack of matter in the universe that we made up dark matter for. And if this theory were true, then it would basically be like everything has information embedded in it, and that information has its own mass that creates the lack of matter that we have in the universe. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. No, yeah. I'm not. We got into horse feathers. Of course, everything has information embedded. My whole thing, and I don't want to get into it again because we've had this conversation offline. But of course, information is embedded in all things.
Yes.
Information. You study me in my what makes me, and you measure me. That's all information because it's me. It's not information.
Your
it's just
DNA
me.
holds information.
You derive information from me. Yeah, the DNA
Yes.
does, but like, it's just stuff in my DNA that makes things happen until somebody's like, that does that. Here's this information. That's my view on it.
Your DNA is information that describes how you are built. You know.
So I get it. I'm just saying like it's a lofty concept.
It is, but when you consider how many objects there are in the universe that would all have information stored in them, every single atom almost would have the information of what is included in that atom. If you say all of that has mass, that would account for all of the dark matter that we make up, that we say exists in the universe.
It's a very interesting theoretical.
The White House does have matter, though. Not maybe from the people in it, but just the atoms.
And you're taking a joke. You're taking Matt's joke, and you're reacting to it seriously.
I want to know if it accounts for Updog.
Maddie D says, so the White House has no dark matter because it has no information. Or is that orange matter? No, I liked it getting political. I was trying to wrap it round back to that.
Yeah.
And then segue out of this into the end of the show.
Yeah, because he doesn't like this argument for me. Because he's like, no, things have...
No, because ultimately, and I mean, the story is renaming dark matter to information, but even in the information, you're just renaming a thing information. That's fine, but like, it's weird. Like, it doesn't, it's an interesting thing to think about, but I'm like, listen, where's my teleporter? That's what I'm amazed about.
Yeah,
this is like stone scientists with nothing to do, and they're like, what if dark matter is really just information, man?
They're not stoned. They might be tripping, but they're not stoned.
Oh, you know the scientists, huh?
No, I just know drugs, okay? And
oh, that's right. When it's this lofty, it's not just weed.
Yeah, that's right. But no, it makes a lot more sense when you think about, okay, like say like a piece of wood. You burn a piece of wood, it turns into ash. It's just ash. But if you took that ash, you could find the information from that ash to recreate the piece of wood it came from. That's the information that has the mass.
Okay. No, that's cool.
Okay, science. It's amazing. Look it up.
I'm not amazed.
Oh no.
Okay, no, I like that you threw that out. Maybe somebody like it's a head scratcher. No, it is one of the things, one of the stories you brought up that's more like, it's more of a thinker, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, huh? You got to think about it.
Well, I'm sorry you have to have a brain.
I don't want it. Okay, so hey everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys got anything to leave this on? Jesse, you got anything coming up? I ain't got jack.
The only thing that occurs to me is that Pete Mitchell is putting out another EP. I believe if it's not out like today, it's coming out like tomorrow or like super duper soon. So Pete Mitchell, check him out. He's been on the show at least twice, maybe three times. I don't know. He's been on the show a couple times. So.
I think twice. He should just be on with us every week. What's Pete doing?
Yeah.
What were you
saying? I say real quick? Also, I noticed last week Maddie D has some new T-shirts for hey, I got a new book that I thought were awesome, and I tried to share, but I don't know if I did a good job. But so check him out also with not only that podcast, but 60s what is it called?
60s Reboot and Comics with My Kids.
Yes.
Yeah. Real quick, shout out Matty D stuff. Check out his stuff, and also Paul. Paul will often self promote in the comments, so I intentionally don't mention it on the show because he's like, "Oh, you asking for it." Paul's been putting out, and I've been way behind on updating the podcast network, but Paul has been putting out Bullspit, just Bullspit episodes and Monster Mash episodes. He's put out several really good ones, interviews with interesting, notable people. So Matty D and Paul both have been killing it on podcasts. So,
also, Matty D was over. No. It was Lee Searcy was on a recent episode with Matty D. So we've talked to Lee, and you've been on Lee. We've both been on Lee's podcast before. So check that out. I believe that was Hey, I Got a New Book. I believe, or Comics with My Kids. I don't know.
I think it was Comics with My Kids because
it was
talking about comics with the dads or something.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was a good episode.
Lee's one of the few that I've met, and he's got like 8 kids or something, doesn't he?
He's got a lot of kids. Yeah.
So that makes sense.
We've met Lee in real life.
I know. That was the first podcaster I met in real life, besides Jesse, of course, and Randall. And I was like, "Wow, it's a podcaster. I'm gonna go look at the Ewok."
You can look at this Ewok, yeah. That was like year 1.
I know,
1 or 2 at the sci-fi. What was it?
Ozfest
7. Yep.
Can I real quick also for Matty D? My kid was really excited to do his first interview with an author over at Hey, I Got a New Book podcast, and of course that's super exciting for a kid. Congratulations! I'm excited for him. Tell him good job.
Yeah. Paul says new episode November. Okay. thanks everybody. Take it easy. Have a good Friday leading into your weekend. Have a good weekend too. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, have a good week. Maybe this will be out Monday. Maybe it'll be out Thursday. I've been getting real wishy-washy. So take it easy, everybody. Grawlixpodcast.com. GRAWLIX podcast.com.
Count the votes. All of them.
All of them.
Twice.
Count them all twice.